was an overcast kind of day in the midst of that special kind of July heat. I had just moved in with my dad and his new wife. I moved to the small town of Gateman, Mississippi. It had a total population of around 390, so it was pretty small. On top of that, the town was just made up of 3 linking roads. I lived on the smallest of the 3. Now don't go and assume that it's nothing but nasty trailers and untamed yards, just because it's a small town. Everybody there kept their yards nice and pretty. So on this July day, my parents had left me and my new stepsister and my little brother at home. Needless to say, a fight broke out. But this time, instead of going into another room to cool down, I was actually mad enough to storm out of the house, while popping just about every swear word I could think of. So I decided to take a walk and let off some steam, and I soon realised I was walking down the dead end half. Feeling like an idiot, I was about to turn around and go the other way, when I remembered I'd never traversed down to the end of the road before, so I set off to do so. I was walking for a good 5 minutes when I saw it, the end of my road. Now I was still a good 70 feet from it, so it looked normal at first, but as I approached the edge, I noticed an oddity. You see, my town may be small, but when they built the roads, they were very well done. So when I came to the edge of the road, it struck me as weird that it looked cut off. As if it used to go on further, but someone, or something, had dug up and destroyed the rest of the road. When I looked past it, there was about 1 foot of dirt, then very thick brush and woods. I found this very peculiar, and honestly, I didn't want to go home, so I decided to see why this old road ended so soon. As I pushed the first couple of limbs and thickets out of my face, I noticed the further I went, the thicker this brush thicket became. Even more eerie is that it seemed to become darker. Now I don't mean like the sun was setting dark, it was only 12:30, but the kind of darkness where it feels like someone or something is trying to say stop or don't go any further. The trees got more twisted and tangled as I went deeper, but I was young, arrogant, and at that moment too curious to care. So I went deeper, and that's when I heard it for the first time. It sounded like a whisper, but it wasn't audible at this point, so I shrugged it off as some wildlife making a noise. Then I saw an opening start to appear, and something in it. When I finally got to the opening, I saw pieces of pavement, like this is where the road was really going to end. Then, a little way past, I saw it. It was small compared to the others on this road. It was a small house. It looked as if it had only had 2 or 3 rooms. I walked closer and I heard a whisper once more. This time I could make out the words. It sounded like a young female voice. It said, "Turn back. This is where hell starts and life ends." Okay, at this point I was seriously starting to get freaked out, but for some reason I felt as if I couldn't turn back. I had to see it for myself. So I tried to shrug off the feeling of dread that swept through my body, and I walked towards the wooden house and placed my hand on the frame. The second I did that, I heard a blood-curdling scream, but it wasn't coming from anywhere. I heard it inside my head, and I jumped back. "What the hell is this place?" I exclaimed. Now most people would get the hell out of there at that point, but me, no, I couldn't. I needed to see. So I took a deep breath and clasped the cold iron of the doorknob in my hand, and when I did I felt a chill run through my body. I twisted the knob and opened the heavy wooden door, then stepped into the doorway. This made my stomach churn. I felt as if I was about to vomit, and I might have if I'd eaten before I left. Then I saw it, written in some faded red substance at the far end of the house. I had to get closer to read it. When I got up close to it, I took my phone out and used the screen for a light as I read. This is what it said. "This is where hell starts and where life ends. If you are reading this, please heed my warning. He will never die. He was made to punish and torment all who find this gateway. Please, you don't have much time. He knows you're here. He's coming." And that's where the text became too faded to read. And in that moment I realised the horrible truth. Someone had written this in their own blood. I turned on my own heels and I ran. And as I closed the door, I heard a large bang come from another room in the house. I screamed for my life. I don't remember much after that. The next thing I recall after the blur of fear is being back at the end of my road. I went home, and when I walked through the door, my parents gasped. I asked in shock what had happened, and all my dad could muster was the word mirror. So I went to the bathroom, and when I saw it, I nearly fainted. On my forehead, written in blood, were the words, "See you soon." I washed my head and cried for around an hour. I guess I must have passed out in the bath, because when I woke up, I was in the bath filled with cold water. I got out and went to my room, and that's when I heard it. In a vicious whisper, I heard,
"It's too late. He knows your scent. He will find you. Hell will claim you. There is no escape. See you soon."
Later on that week, I looked into that house using the internet. Apparently anyone who has ever been inside that place went crazy, claiming to hear voices, and that something was following them, and every single person went on a homicidal rampage, killing their loved ones, and ending it with a gruesome suicide. Well, I know for a fact that these voices are real. They've told me there's only one way to stop him, and I'm sorry, but I have to.